You returned. Good, because tonight, the shadows have something to whisper. Welcome back to Moonlight Tales. Lock your doors. The story begins now. The flatmate who never slept. I used to think the scariest thing about living in New York was getting mugged on a dark subway platform, or the slow, crushing weight of a bank account hitting zero. But I learned the hard way that the real terrors are the ones you invite in and give a spare key to. When I first signed the lease on that place in Astoria, I felt like I had finally caught a break. After a year of absolute garbage luck, my previous roommate had bailed in the middle of the night, leaving me with a 2-bedroom rent I couldn't afford, and a landlord who looked like he'd enjoy watching me end up on the sidewalk. I was desperate. I was beyond desperate. I was at that point where you stop looking for red flags and start looking for anyone with a pulse and a security deposit. Then he showed up. He responded to my ad. Within 10 minutes of me posting it, his message was short and professional, which I liked. He said his name was Elias, and he worked in data management, which sounded boring enough to be safe. We met at a coffee shop near the park, and he looked exactly like the kind of guy you forget the moment he walked out of the room. Gray hoodie, clean jeans, just a little too clean for someone living in the city. He had this way of sitting perfectly still while he talked. Not a twitch, not a fidget, just a calm, robotic stillness that I mistook for maturity. I have one condition, he said, handing me a cashier's check. For the first 3 months up front, my heart did a little jump at the sight of that much money. Anything, man, I said. What is it? I don't like to be disturbed after midnight. He stared right through me with eyes that were a pale, unsettling shade of blue. I do my best work in the dark. I value my privacy. If the door to my room is closed, please don't knock. No matter what you hear, I should have asked what I might hear. I should have asked why he was paying 3 months in advance without even seeing the bathroom. But all I saw were the zeros on that check, and the fact that I wouldn't have to move back into my parents' basement in Ohio. I shook his hand. His skin felt like cold parchment. Deal, I told him. I'm a heavy sleeper anyway. You won't hear a peep from me. He moved in that Saturday. No moving truck, no friends to help, just a black rideshare, and 3 identical black suitcases. He didn't ask for help. He didn't make small talk. He walked into the second bedroom and shut the door. I sat on the couch, trying to watch a sitcom, but the silence coming from his room was heavy. It wasn't the silence of someone unpacking or setting up a bed. It was the silence of a vacuum. By the 3rd day, I realized I hadn't seen him eat. Not once. I'd be in the kitchen, making eggs at 8 in the morning. His door was shut. I'd come home from my temp job at 6 in the evening. The door was still shut. I started wondering if he was even in there. Maybe he was a scammer who just needed an address. But then, the night of the 4th day happened. I woke up around 2:45 a.m. because the apartment felt freezing. We didn't have central air. The radiators usually hissed like dying steam engines. But tonight, the air was dead and icy. I rolled out of bed, rubbing my arms, and stumbled toward the kitchen to check the window. As I passed the hallway, I stopped dead. Elias was standing in the middle of the living room. He wasn't sitting. He wasn't watching TV. He was just standing there in the center of the rug, facing the blank wall. He didn't have a shirt on, even in the dim streetlight. Filtering through the blinds, I could see his ribs, sharp, prominent, like he hadn't eaten in weeks. But it was his face that made my blood turn to slush. His eyes were wide open, wider than I thought was physically possible, and he was staring at a spot on the wall, about 6 feet up. Elias, I whispered, my voice stuck to the roof of my mouth. You okay, man? He didn't move. He didn't blink. I stood there, watching him, for what felt like 5 minutes. I thought maybe he was sleepwalking. I'd read You're Not Supposed to Wake Sleepwalkers. So I stayed back. Then I noticed his hands. They were clenched so tight. His knuckles were white as bone. I can hear the pipes. He said. He didn't turn around. His voice wasn't sleepy. It was sharp, crisp, terrified. They're talking about the pressure. Do you feel the pressure? In the room? It's just an old building, Elias. I said, trying to sound normal, even though my heart was hammering like a trapped bird. The heat's probably kicking on. Go back to bed. You're going to be exhausted tomorrow. He finally turned his head. Slow, mechanical. The skin around his eyes was dark and bruised, like he'd been punched in both sockets. I don't go to bed. He said, the dreams stay there even when you're awake. If I close my eyes, they win. I've been awake for 12 days. I laughed. I thought it was a joke. 12 days. I said, that's impossible. You'd be dead or hallucinating by now. I am hallucinating. He whispered, stepping closer. The smell on him was strange, like ozone and old copper. I can see the air moving around you. It looks like black smoke. Is that your soul or just the city rot? I backed away until I hit the kitchen counter. My fingers dug into the laminate. That's when I realized I wasn't living with a data manager. I was living with someone, having a full-scale psychotic break, or something worse. Just try to relax, I said. My voice was shaking. I'm going to go back to my room. We'll talk about the pipes in the morning, okay? He didn't follow me. He went back to staring at the wall. I locked my door. The lock felt flimsy, useless. I lay in the dark, listening. That's when the pacing started. Thump, creak, thump, creak. A steady rhythm. Living room to front door to my bedroom. Every time he reached my door, he stopped exactly 10 seconds. I counted my heartbeat. Then he turned around. For hours, every stop, I held my breath until my lungs burned. I waited for the handle to turn. I waited for him to whisper through the wood. When the sun finally bled through my curtains, the pacing stopped. I waited another hour before opening my door. The hallway felt like I didn't belong there anymore. The living room was empty. His bedroom door was shut. In the kitchen, my hands shook so badly. I spilled coffee grounds everywhere. As I bent down to clean them up, I saw something. Under the crack of his door, a pile of white. I knelt down. Salt crystals, a thick line of salt, poured along the base of his door from the inside. But that wasn't the part that made me want to scream. It was the wall, the one he'd been staring at. All night, in daylight, I could see it clearly. Tiny scratches and plaster. Hundreds of them, not random. Tally marks. I started counting. Then I stopped. There were far more than 12. There were hundreds, if those were days. He hadn't slept. Elias shouldn't have been standing. He shouldn't have been breathing. I heard a click behind me. His door opened, just an inch. You're counting. His voice slipped out from the darkness. Don't count. It makes the time go slower. And you really don't want to be awake when the sun goes down tonight. I spent the next 3 days living like a prisoner in a house I was paying for. Every time I heard the click of his door, I would bolt into my room, press my back against the wood, and pray he wouldn't knock. My work performance slid straight into the gutter. I couldn't focus on anything except the heavy silence of the apartment. You don't realize how loud silence can be until you're sharing it with someone who doesn't breathe right. I'd sit at my desk in the city, staring at spreadsheets, but all I could see were those tally marks etched into plaster. I kept thinking about the math. If those marks really meant days without sleep, Elias should have been a corpse. The human body isn't built for that. The brain starts to eat itself. Memories mix with reality until the world becomes a waking nightmare. When I got home on Friday, the air in the living room felt thick, like I was walking through invisible syrup. I went into the kitchen and saw something on the table, a notebook, a cheap composition book, its edges frayed and burned. My heart was pounding in my throat, but I opened anyway. The pages weren't filled with schedules or data. They were covered in drawings, not art, diagrams, maps of the apartment with impossible dimensions, rooms that didn't exist, staircases leading into solid walls, and written over and over in the margins, "It sees me when I blink," again and again, each time more jagged, more violent. "It sees me when I blink." It's a beautiful map, isn't it? I screamed and dropped the notebook. Elias was standing right behind me. I hadn't heard a single floorboard creak. He wore the same clothes from 4 days ago. His skin was gray, almost translucent, like wet tissue paper. He wasn't shaking. He was humming at a frequency that made my teeth ache. I didn't mean to pry. I stammered, backing toward the sink. I thought it was a grocery list or something. He picked up the book. His fingers looked too long. The grocery store doesn't have what I need anymore. I need the light to stay constant. Have you noticed the shadows in your room? They're getting longer. They're reaching for the center of the floor. "Elias, you need a doctor." I said, "You're sick. You're having a breakdown. I can call someone." He laughed. It wasn't human. It sounded like dry leaves, scraping across pavement. "Sleep is the door," he said. "Why would I open for them? They've been waiting for 3 years. If I blink too long, they get a finger through. If I sleep, they get the whole hand." He stepped closer. That's when I saw he had no eyelashes. His eyelids were raw, red, forced open, through pure agony. "I need you to do something for me." The ozone smell hit me again, stronger now. "I need you to stay awake with me tonight. Just one night. If there are 2 of us watching, they won't manifest. They're shy. I can't." I said, my voice cracked. "I have a life. I can't stay up all night, staring at walls." The look on his face wasn't anger. It was grief. "I chose this place because of you," he said softly. "You have a bright light in your head. I thought it would keep the corners clear. But look at the ceiling." I looked in the corner of the kitchen where the wall met the ceiling. Something black pulsed. It wasn't mold. It moved in time with his breathing, like thousands of insects, forming a shape. A drop fell, black, wet. It hit the floor with a heavy thud. "That's not real," I whispered. "It's just a leak." "It's not a leak," Elias said. "It's a shadow that forgot how to hide." I ran. No phone, no plan. I slammed the door behind me and tore down the stairs. Outside, the night was cool, normal. People walked dogs. Cars passed. Everything was fine. Too fine. I told myself I was overreacting. I spent the night in a 24-hour diner, drinking coffee and watching the sun rise. I decided then I was done. Then I checked my pockets. No keys, no wallet, no shoes, just socks. I had to go back. One last time. At 8 in the morning, the hallway smelled like cabbage and pine sol. I knocked. No answer. The door was unlocked. Inside, it was freezing, so cold I could see my breath. Every window was covered in black paper. No light. "Elias!" I called. My voice sounded dead. The furniture was gone, stacked in the center, like a barricade. And on top, Elias, holding scissors, pointed at his own eyes. "I found a way," he rasped. "If I cut the lids, they can't close. Put them down." I screamed. Then I saw the floor. Salt everywhere. Patterns, symbols, and photos of me sleeping, shopping, coming home. He'd been watching me long before he moved in. "You're the anchor," he said. "As long as you're here, they follow the rules. But you left. I'm calling the police." I said, "They won't see the door." He replied, "The walls are softer now. We're not in Queens anymore." I turned to run. The door was gone. Just wall. I screamed. Something whispered my name. 1,000 voices. The lights died, and in the dark, a cold, wet hand brushed my shoulder. It wasn't Elias. The darkness wasn't just the absence of light. It felt heavy, like a physical weight, pressing against my chest, making every breath feel like I was inhaling cold silt. I backed away from the wall, where the door used to be. My hands were shaking so badly, I had to shove them into my armpits just to keep from coming apart. I could hear Elias moving on top of that mountain of furniture. Wood creaked, groaned, but he sounded far away, miles away. "Elias, please." I choked. The tears finally broke through. "I just want to go home. Just open the door. I won't tell anyone. I'll disappear. I promise." "You don't get it yet, do you?" His voice drifted down from above me, stretched, hollow. "There is no door. There is no outside anymore. We've reached the bottom of the hour, the moment where the world stops pretending it's solid." Something sharp pricked my ankle. I looked down. There was nothing there. I swiped at my leg and felt something cold, an oily smear across my skin. It felt like residue, like that black pulsing mass from the ceiling earlier. I scrambled away toward what I thought was the kitchen. I tripped over a chair that shouldn't have been there. My knee slammed into the floor with a sickening crack. I sobbed. The pain grounded me, a sharp spike of reality. In a world turning into a fever dream, I crawled toward the counter, my fingers clawing for anything. A weapon, a light. My hand closed around the handle of a cast iron skillet. Heavy, solid. It wasn't much, but it was real. Then the flickering started. It wasn't a light bulb. It was a pulse, gray, rhythmic, coming from the walls themselves. In those flashes, I saw the apartment, but not the one I moved into. The wallpaper peeled back, like dead skin. Underneath, muscle, bone. The floorboards were wet, glistening with a dark fluid. That pulse in time with the light. And Elias, he wasn't on the furniture anymore. He was floating, suspended in midair. Dozens of thin black cords held him up. Veins. They pierced his back, his shoulders, his temples. His eyes were wide, the lids red and jagged. From the scissors, he stared at me in absolute agony. "They're feeding," he whispered. This time, the words were inside my head. "They don't want your blood. They want your now. They want the seconds you're supposed to spend dreaming. If you don't sleep, those seconds stay here, and they harvest them." "Who are they?" I screamed. I swung the skillet at a shadow near my feet. "The watchers of the gap," he said. "The ones who live in the moments you forget. I kept them fed for a long time. But I'm empty. That's why I brought you. I needed a fresh well." A hand closed around my throat. Not Elias. Too many joints. Skin like wet sand. It lifted me off the floor. My air vanished. I kicked, thrashed, swung the skillet wildly. Hit nothing. My vision swam. Dark spots bloomed in the gray light. I thought of my mom in Ohio, of her telling me to come home if it got too hard. I thought of the coffee, left steaming on a diner table. A world I'd never reach again. The grief hit harder than the fear. Dying in a place that didn't exist. Killed by a roommate who traded his humanity for a few more waking hours. With everything I had left, I swung. The skillet connected. A shriek ripped through the room. High-pitched, inhuman. The grip vanished. I hit the floor, gasping. The air tasted like copper. Run. Elias gasped. The cords were pulling him higher now. The bedroom. The salt. It's the only place. They can't reach yet. I ran. Pain exploded in my knee. But I didn't stop. Something skittered behind me. Heavy. Multi-legged. The walls shook. I slammed my door shut, and through the deadbolt, collapsed against it. Scratching filled the air. Scritch, 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 like 1,000 fingernails, searching for a crack. I turned. The room was wrong. Smaller, the walls closing in, the ceiling lowering, and on my bed, the notebook, open, last page. The handwriting was mine. Don't close your eyes. If you sleep, you wake up in their world forever. I looked at the window. No glass, just gray, pulsing wall, a shrinking box, salt, a splintering door. I slid to the floor, hugging the skillet, and that's when I understood. The worst truth of all, I was exhausted. My eyelids were lead. Sleep pulled at me, like gravity, a siren song. I can't stay awake. I whispered, I can't. From the other side of the door, Elias answered, soft, almost kind. Then come join us. It's not so bad. The first century is the hardest. The door handle began to turn. The door didn't just break. It unraveled, though it didn't splinter into shards, like you'd expect in a normal house. Instead, it shredded like old paper, curling back to reveal a hallway. That was no longer a hallway. It was a throat, a long, dark passage made of pulsing gray membrane, stretching out into an infinite distance. And there was Elias, or what was left of him, floating in the center of that void. He looked like a specimen pinned to a board, his limbs stretched thin by black, throbbing cords. It's time to stop fighting, he whispered, and his voice sounded like it was coming from inside my own ears. The sleep you're feeling, that's not yours. That's the weight of everyone, whoever lived in this room before us. You're just carrying the debt. I tried to stand up, but my legs felt like water. My head was spinning, and every time I blinked, the world stayed dark for a second too long. I knew that if I let my eyelids drop for more than a heartbeat, I'd never see the sun again. I gripped the cast iron skillet, so hard the handle dug into my palm, using the pain to anchor myself to the floor. I'm not part of your debt. I wheezed. My throat felt like I'd swallowed glass. I looked around the shrinking room, searching for anything, any piece of the real world I could hold on to. That's when I saw my phone, lying cracked on the floor. I lunged for it, my fingers trembling as I swiped the screen. By some miracle, it flickered to life. 3:14 a.m. Battery at 1%. I didn't try to call 911. I knew signals wouldn't move through this gray rot. Instead, I opened my photo gallery. I scrolled past selfies, past food shots, until I found a video of my sister's wedding from last summer. I hit play. The sound of a cheap wedding band playing Brown Eyed Girl filled the room. It was tinny and distorted, but it was the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. I saw the sun hitting the grass. I saw people laughing, holding plastic cups of champagne, living in a world where the worst thing you feared was a hangover. The gray walls flinched. The many-fingered hand, reaching through the door, snapped back, its skin sizzling, like the music was acid. Turn it off. Elias shrieked, his body convulsing against the cords. The noise, it's too sharp. It's cutting the connection. It's reality, Elias. I yelled, dragging myself toward the center of the room. It's the world where people sleep and wake up. It's the world you gave up on. The phone screen flickered. Low battery, 1%. I knew I only had seconds. I looked at the wall, where the window used to be. There was no glass, but there was a faint, jagged line in the gray, the shape of a frame, a memory of an exit. I didn't think. I just moved. I hurled the skillet with everything I had left, screaming at the top of my lungs. The metal struck the center of that line, and instead of a crash, there was a sound like a giant balloon popping. Freezing air slammed into me. It smelled like exhaust, garbage, and the beautiful, wonderful stench of New York City. The gray membrane tore open. For one split second, I saw the street below, a taxi's yellow glow. Turning the corner, I didn't care about the drop. I didn't care about the notebook or the things in the dark. I threw myself toward the light. I remember falling, the wind screaming past my ears. And then nothing. I woke up 3 days later, in a hospital bed at Mount Sinai. The doctor said I was lucky. A shattered leg, 3 broken ribs, a concussion that made light feel like needles. But the strangest part wasn't the injuries. It was the police report. We went to check on your roommate. The officer said confusion written across his face. But the apartment was empty, not moved out empty. A shell, no furniture, no carpet, no wallpaper, just bare studs and concrete. What about Elias? I asked, barely able to speak. The officer shook his head. We ran the name. There's no Elias Vance. The landlord says the unit hasn't been rented in 5 years due to a structural issue. He doesn't know who you are or how you even got a key. I lay there afterward, staring at the white ceiling. I looked at my hands. Faint, dark bruises circled my throat. They weren't shaped like human fingers. I'm out now. I live in a small studio, in a brand new building, with bright lights and thin walls. I can hear my neighbors arguing about laundry. I love it. I love every annoying, mundane sound of life. But I don't sleep in the dark anymore. I have 4 lamps, and I keep them all on every night, because sometimes when the city goes quiet, I hear it, a rhythmic sound from the hallway. Thump, creak, thump, creak. And when my eyes grow heavy, I remember the last page of that notebook. I remember that Elias is still out there, somewhere between seconds, waiting for someone else to get tired. Man, that story still gives me chills, just thinking about it. There's something deeply terrifying about the idea that the person you're sharing a home with might not be living in the same reality as you. So what do you guys think? Was Elias a victim, or was he something else entirely? Have you ever had a roommate that made your skin crawl? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the flatmate who never slept, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. If you're new here, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Stay safe, stay awake, and I'll see you in the next one.